Hey everybody. So, you're here for another audiobook review. As you might figure, this next story that I listened to, actually it was before the last video, but what the heck. This story is called Battlefield Reclaimer. It's from David North, and it is a lit RPG. What did I think? So, this story is of an early character, a young character, who basically grows into a ridiculously powerful magician. It's a very interesting new idea for a caster class, and believe me, this is a caster class. Oh my gosh, does he do some casting. First of all, it starts off with it being a little meager because he doesn't know exactly what he's doing and he's got no teacher, which is, a pretty interesting way to start. And then boy does he get more powerful. Lower level, doing extremely powerful things. This is the kind of story that sometimes gets a little bit iffy. And in this case, I think it did. The story is pretty interesting, but the character does get powerful, along with some friends. He does get, pretty powerful with family and friends. He is a fire casting mage. Why so many magicians have to become fire magicians, it just happens in a lot of these stories. I'm not always thrilled about it. There's a lot of other casting types. It makes me think that a lot of authors might not be so gamer-like, unless they just play people that likes to blow stuff up. The character has some abilities where he can dig deeper and find more strength, and he is able to get more power from a lot of different sources. And in this case, boy does he ever. He also gets mana, additional mana, an additional battery of energy, and becomes a one-man army. I mean, you think that you've heard that before. Believe me, this is a one-man army, and I'm not always thrilled about that kind of thing. It was literally rags to riches. The story is pretty interesting, but it gets numbers heavy fairly later on in the story. Now, does that take away from the story? Not really at first in the first book. In the second book, it gets a little bit more numbers crazy. It doesn't bog down a little bit at first, and it's really easy to get interested in the characters. The voice acting is also really good. There's not graphic audio like in one of my recent stories that I listened to, but the voice acting is really good for the different characters. It is an interesting caster class. The character is able to get sources of energy from a fight in general, kind of like experience, and the level structure is very large. Now, what are some of the decent stuff? It's not a video game story. It's not someone died and goes into a video game. It's not someone, mysteriously finds their way into a fantasy world. This is actually fantasy characters, almost like they were, right in a fantasy. They know about levels and structures and classes and different stuff like that, and a lot of different spells. But apparently they're not so imaginative on different spells. There is, fires. There's fire spells, fire arrows, fireballs, and then there's updates to fireballs, like additional magic abilities and wind abilities to it and stuff like that. Now, it's how some authors have done it, and that's how it is done. So, I would like to see some other casters, like I have kind of written about. Does more with water, some characters that do more with lightning, some characters that do more with anything else, but there's just so many different fireballs and different stuff like that. Is it really interesting? Yes. Is it unique? Not really. The character somehow digs deep and finds more power, and it happens all the time, anytime he really needs it. At level 10, he could take on level 50 characters, and boy does he ever. It depends on what kind of stuff you like. If you like a character that gets really powerful really quickly, like Level Up or Die or something like that, this is your kind of story. I'm not too thrilled about it, but it was still pretty interesting lit RPG, and the story was really good. So, if it's your thing, go for it.